Adhyay 8, Arjun said, enlighten me, O Supreme Being, on the nature of Brahm, Adhyatma, action, Adhibhut and Adhidev. Who is Adhiyagya, O Madhusadan, and how is he enshrined in the body? And how does the man with a restrained mind know you at the end? The Lord said, the one who is imperishable is the Supreme Spirit, abiding in a body. He is Adhyatma, and the cessation of properties in beings which produce something or the others in action. Adhibhut is all that is subject to birth and death. The Supreme Spirit is Adhidev, and O the unparalleled among men, I am the Adhiyagya in the body. The man who departs from the body, remembering me doubtlessly, attains to me. A man attains, O son of Kunti, to the slate with the thought of which he departs from the body, because of his constant preoccupation with that state. So you will doubtless realize me if, with your mind and intellect dedicated to me, you always wage war. The Lord said, possessed of the yoga of meditation and a restrained mind, O Parth, the man who is always absorbed in my thoughts attains to the sublime radiance of God. The man who remembers God, who is omniscient without beginning and end, dwelling in the soul that rules all beings, the most subtle of the subtle, unmanifest, provided to all, beyond thoughts, imbued with the light of consciousness and quite beyond ignorance, with unwavering concentration, with his life breath firmly centered between his brows by the strengthening of his yoke, such a man attains to the effulgent Supreme Being. I shall tell you briefly of the ultimate state which knowers of the ways call the unperishable, and which is realized by men who aspire for it, act without desire, and practice continence, shutting the doors of all the sense, that is restraining them from desire for their objects, confining his intellect with the self, fixing his life breath within his mind, and absorbed in yoga. He also departs from the body, intoning Om, which is God in words, and remembering me attains to salvation. The yogi who is firmly devoted to me, and who constantly remembers me, and is absorbed in me, realizes me with ease. Accomplished sages who have attained to the ultimate state are no longer subject to transient rebirth like a house of sorrows. All the worlds from Brahmalok downwards are, O Arjun, of a recurrent character, but O son of Kunti, the soul which realizes me is not born again. Yogi, who know the reality of one day of Brahma, which is of the duration of 1,000 ages, and of one night, which is also equals to 1,000 ages, know the essence of time. All manifest beings are born from the subtle body of Brahma at the outset of his day, and are also dissolved in the same unmanifest body at the fall of his night. The beings who thus wake up into consciousness are compelled by nature to relapse into unconsciousness with the coming of night, and they are then, O Parth, reborn with the advent of a day. But beyond the unmanifest Brahma, there is the eternal unmanifest God, who is not destroyed even after the destructions of all the beings. The unmanifest and imperishable God, who is said to be salvation, and after realizing whom one does not come back to the world, is my ultimate abode. And O Parth, the God in whom all being exists, and who for me the whole world is realized by steady devotion. The Lord said, and O the best of Bharat, I shall know, enlighten you on the ways by which, after giving up their bodies, yogi arrived at the state of birthlessness as well as of rebirth. They who depart from the body in the presence of bright flame, daylight, the sun, the waxing moon, of the bright half of a month, and the dazzlingly clear sky of the time when the sun moves northward, attain to God. Dying during prevalence of the darkness of a gloomy night, the dark half of a lunar month, and the 6 months of the downward course of the sun, the yogi who desires fruits of his actions attains to the dim light of the moon and is reborn after enjoying his rewards in the heaven. The way of brightness and the way of darkness that takes one to the afterworld are the two eternal ways in the world. One who takes the first achieves birthlessness, whereas the traders on the second is subject to repeat birth and death. You should always rest upon you, O Parth, for the yogi who knows the reality of the two ways is never deceived. Knowing this secret, the yogi transcends the rewards of Vedic study, sacrificial rites, penance, and charity to achieve salvation.